welcome to or back to my channel. Hey, I'm Ellen if you're new here, and welcome to another episode of Style Sunday. I haven't filmed one of these for ages because I was waiting for us to get some content from Fashion Month, and Fashion Month has well and truly begun, and I wanted to talk about some of my, I guess, I was gonna do hits and misses, but I actually think that I have ended up just talking about my hits. I hate being like too salty and negative about fashion shows, I guess, because like at the end of the day, fashion is art and it's so subjective, and if I'm not enjoying it or I don't like it, that doesn't mean that it's not like right for somebody else. So I don't want to like critique somebody else's art, I guess. Like it's just not, I just don't like enjoy doing that as much as I love raving about like my favorite stuff and how my favorite stuff is inspiring me and how I think it's going to inspire trends moving forward. So I've decided for this video to focus on Spring Summer 25 Paris Couture because that's what I've been loving most that's come out of fashion season so far. We're obviously very early into fashion month, and Copenhagen is happening currently. I think it's New York next, and then we move on to London. So there's still like a lot more to happen, but obviously Paris has happened and it's over. It has started like back end of January, early Feb. So we've seen Paris, we've loved Paris, and now I want to talk about some of my favorite moments from Paris. So without further ado, let's get into the video. If you like this type of content, then please do remember to subscribe. I upload fashion content every Sunday at 9 AM, and I am gonna do a few thrifting videos as my next Style Sunday videos. So I know you guys love my thrifting content, or if you're new here and you're into thrifting content, then that will be coming soon. So yeah, hit subscribe to be updated for that, and you can click the little bell notification so you'll get a notification when I upload in case you forget, but I'm pretty strategic. 9 AM is Style Sundays, then 6 PM on Wednesdays is my Wrap Up Wednesdays where I do a weekly vlog of all my London life. So without further ado, let's get into the video, and I'm gonna start with a show that honestly blew me away. It's not often that a fashion show blows me away anymore. I love like archival shows. I think they were like works of art in a way we don't see anymore. However, this show for me kind of brought back a little bit of that reminiscence of like the good old days of couture fashion, and that is Schiaparelli. I've had my eye on Schiaparelli for quite a while now. I think it is a wonderful fashion house and was a wonderful fashion house back in the day, but something has happened since Daniel Rosebery took over and the house has honestly exploded. The show was shown at the back end of January and drew inspiration from the myth of Icarus. So we saw a lot of gold feature throughout, a lot of sort of like aspiration and opulence, which if you watched my trend videos was obviously a trend that I spoke about quite a lot in a trend that's going to be upcoming for 2025 in general. And there were like notes to like flight and wings and that sort of thing as well. The show drew a lot from archival Schiaparelli pieces. There is this really beautiful video of Daniel speaking about one of the dresses in particular, which I think was my favorite dress from the collection, which actually used a Schiaparelli, I think from, I wanted to say the 50s or something, 50s or 60s, a Schiaparelli piece, a Schiaparelli blazer that he'd then refashioned and taken inspiration from and made into this beautiful, beautiful dress, but has this like almost like petal like shaped train coming off it. Honestly, I think it could have lost that, but the detailing within the dress is just so stunning. I think it's the small details adding up to like the true kind of like insane opulence that like Schiaparelli brings. And I think what's amazing about Schiaparelli at the moment is that they do mix like their older more vintage designs with like really contemporary silhouettes, and we saw that a lot throughout this collection. The silhouettes in terms of like neckline and hip shape were very reminiscent of like even the Victorian era with like small waist, big hips, big shoulders, however done in this beautifully modern take where we are seeing like these really deep plunging necklines that almost like show full breast. Like it is really stunning. I absolutely love them. Obviously a kind of hit and miss highlight, depending on who you are, for this show was the fact that I think Kendall Jenner actually opened the show. Schiaparelli and the Jenner sisters have quite a tight-knit relationship. They're always wearing Schiaparelli, they're always at the shows. I don't think Kylie was there, but one of the famous moments from Schiaparelli shows is obviously Kylie Jenner wearing that lion head. There's always like fun little elements in the Jenner sisters, I think, are really good ambassadors for the brand. I know that a lot of people are funny about Kendall in particular and her modelling career, because obviously she's a Nepo baby and she hasn't got there by any merit, but I actually think she's a really great model. My only issue with her within this show is I think she looks like a bit too like iPhone-y. Like, I wanted all the models, and I think a lot of them did, to look like they've never seen an iPhone before, have those very like timeless faces, whereas I think Kendall Jenner has like a more modern face. But I think she obviously looked insane in the garments they put her in. She looked so beautiful. The way these silhouettes fitted the models was just absolutely stunning. And I think the key trends we're probably going to see coming out of this show are the opulence and mixing those vintage like Baroque styles in with more contemporary pieces, and then also these really sharp tailored silhouettes, like very dramatic. I'm seeing a lot of that at the moment with like the way people are choosing to wear blazers, and the blazers that are coming out, I find them to be very like structured on top, almost this very like 80s power suit vibe, which is a real sort of backlash to the like Matilda Djerf oversized blazers that we were seeing a lot over the past few years. I think we've kicked that out the bucket, and we're now getting these much more tailored, structured pieces, which honestly I way prefer. Absolutely love them. There was a lot of artisanal craftsmanship, obviously, with it being the couture show, so everything is obviously one of a kind. I do think we will see quite a few of these pieces at the Met Gala. I have been putting together a Met Gala video for ages. I just don't know when feels appropriate to post my Met Gala video, because obviously Met Gala is obviously first Monday of May, so we've got quite a while for it to come up, but I think it will come around quite quickly, and I want to get in there with like talking about the theme and stuff. It's dandyism, the theme of the Met Gala this year. So I think we're going to see a lot of sharp tailoring, a lot of great suiting, and a lot of great menswear looks. That was very off topic, but I do think we may see some of these pieces in terms of the like tailoring, or definitely see Schiaparelli a lot on the runway for their tailoring. So let's move on to the Dior show. So this show was a bit contentious, I would say, within the fashion community. People either loved it or hated it, but I think it definitely swung over to dislike more than anything else. I think people are finding Dior a bit stiff and boring at the moment. Obviously, Maria Grazia, I think that's her name. Maria Grazia. I think she came into Dior in 2016. She was the first female creative director ever of Dior, and obviously prior to her we had John Galliano. I don't know if there was a break in between or if we went straight into Maria, but anyway, we had Galliano, who obviously did some weird and wonderful things at Dior, as he does for every fashion house. I actually have a lot of issues, not issues, that's the wrong word, but I will always love Maison Margiela, but I think he's taken away from what Margiela was as a fashion house, and kind of made it the John Galliano show. And I do think he did the same at Dior. Like, his artistry and his vision is so like key. I don't know how to put it. Like, he's so clear on his artistry and vision that comes through in whatever fashion house he goes to, in a way that like it becomes very John Galliano rather than becoming that fashion house. And I kind of like that Dior is sort of a little bit in its roots in the hands of Maria Grazia. And I think that like I really liked this show anyway. I think that the staging of it was really beautiful and simple, and I got some notes about the staging of it as well, because I thought it was really lovely. So it was an artistic collaboration with an Indian artist called the Rafikia Merchant, who created an immersive installation which was the backdrop of the show, called The Flowers We Grew. The installation featured 9 large-scale textile panels, each depicting a fantastical landscape reflecting the power of imagination and femininity. And I think it was really, really lovely. And I think the clothes and the staging of the clothes went so beautifully together. But let's talk about the clothes. So apparently this collection was also drawing inspiration from the myth of Icarus, but I'm not sure like I see it in the same ways that I did with the Schiaparelli show. However, it still had a lot of sort of elements of the Schiaparelli show. I think these shows have a lot of mirroring kind of themes to each other, so maybe that's what it is there. This again was bracing like the Baroque opulence with exaggerated voluminous silhouettes that challenge like modern notions of simplicity and really bring out this like heavy design that we used to have, and bringing that to the forefront in a really modern way. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I do think, especially for Dior, there's a lot of like bohemian, like crafted artisanal elements that we don't really see from Dior that often. I really, really loved that to it as well. It had this really beautiful sort of dialogue between like the past Dior pieces and like archival pieces and bringing those forward into the future and like modernizing them as well. Again, quite akin to the Schiaparelli collection. I think a lot of people are drawing on the archival pieces as well, which I really, really love to see. I think it's really like fresh in a way, considering that we're drawing from heritage like pieces. But yeah, I just think it really brought like a fresh perspective to Dior whilst honouring the brand's roots, and I think it was a really beautiful show. Another show which I wanted to stray away from like clearly what my taste is at the moment, this very like Baroque, archival, modern style. I wanted to stray away from that for a second and talk about a show which was again a little controversial, but I actually loved it, and that was Marc Jacobs. This wasn't a couture show, but I actually kind of think it should be. Like, I don't think these pieces are ready to wear. I don't know who's wearing them and to wear. I don't even know if they're like red carpet worthy. I honestly just see this show as a couture art show. I think it was so fun. And I would say the main theme for this show is not something I've actually talked about at all in my videos as a trend or anything. So Marc Jacobs is always a little bit ahead of the times though. I would say this show was like a pop art show to me. It was fun, it was animated, it was very like anime, characteristic pop art, like it felt cartoony. The silhouettes are again very exaggerated like the last two shows, however in a completely different way. This show doesn't draw on archival in my opinion, maybe in like a 1950s almost kind of like exaggerated way, like very like cartoony pop art Betty Boop style, but I would say this is like futuristic. This is like what the people at the Capitol would be wearing. That's probably an insult in the Hunger Games, but this is what I'm taking from this show. He's done another wild pair of shoes with the ones that like turn up and the ones that point straight. Oh my god, they're so weird and wonderful. And they also did this really like new interesting thing at this show, which has never been done before, where the attendees could literally buy pieces from the runway as they walked down. They called it something. Let me just find out what it was called. It was like shop to see it, buy it is what they called it. So like as soon as you saw something being walking down the catwalk, you could literally purchase it as it was coming down, which was really fun. I think added like an extra futuristic element to the show and giving it like a real new kind of fresh feel. I also don't think we could talk about this show without talking about the makeup. This is actually what I liked most about the show. It is of course the iconic Pat McGrath, who did the glass skin for the John Galliano show last season, which everybody went wild for. I think this makeup is actually just as fun, so I don't know why we're not talking about it as much. What she did with this makeup is she played on like exaggerated features from like renowned celebrities. So like they had like big rosy cheeks and then like Marilyn Monroe's beauty spot, but like really big. I think it's so fun. I made some more notes on it. Let me try and find them. Yeah, so she was using two-dimensional beauty stickers in shades of burgundy, fuchsia, red, and pink. These stickers were custom applied to each model's face, evoking historical beauty references such as Marilyn Monroe's lip spot and Sophia Loren's eye spot. So fun and interesting, and I really love this show. I'm obviously a massive Marc Jacobs stan anyway. Unlike I moaned about John Galliano putting his stamp too much on brands, I love that Marc Jacobs brings his like fun, playful creativity when he goes to brands. I love his work. The last show I want to talk about is a relatively new gal on the scene, and that is Miss Sohee. Sohee, I think it is. So Miss Sohee is a brand started by Sohee Park, who is a Korean designer who only graduated from CSM in 2020, where her 2020 show, obviously because of the pandemic, I think she launched it on Instagram rather than actually ever getting to show it, and it went completely nuts on Instagram, completely viral. Ended up in Miley Cyrus wearing one of her pieces, and then she's just completely skyrocketed since then. So this is the actual first time that she showed on schedule at Fashion Week, and it's obviously showing in Paris, which is just crazy for her. She is doing something so new, fresh, and exciting in the couture world, and it's been a long time since we've seen like a brand new designer take Paris fashion couture by storm in the way that she has. Her stuff really like plays on her Korean heritage inspiration, so we see elements running throughout, such as intricate embroidery, the silhouettes that really play into the artistic Korean aesthetic. It's absolutely beautiful. And then she also plays on these really beautiful, like, intricate design elements that are like really sort of like heritagely vintage, very like true couture, but with this like added like sexuality that like is just so beautiful. Like the way she uses like lace and different like chiffons, and uses like the woman's silhouette as part of the clothing. Like she is a designer that dresses women and understands women's bodies, and I love when designers come out like truly understanding women's bodies and like using it as part of the designs almost. I think Schiaparelli also does this beautifully and is definitely something I really love within fashion. I definitely think that Sohee Park is somebody to watch. I think that her stuff is going to be absolutely huge. I don't think she's actually got a proper ready-to-wear range just yet. She did a collaboration with Net-a-Porter a few years ago, which was like her first toe dip into ready-to-wear, but it was like an extremely high price point. I think she's through and through an artist, like a couture designer. So I think, again, we could definitely see some of her pieces at the Met Gala as well. And I would be really excited to see that from such like a fresh new face on the scene. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that video, guys. That was my 4 favorite shows so far. I will obviously be back at the end of February, obviously with videos in between, but I want to come back at the end of February with a whole roundup of February Fashion Month. Obviously really excited about London Fashion Week and what we'll get to see there. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.